The Washington Commanders take the L to the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Day at home by a final score of 30-23. But honestly, guys, I think the Commanders put up a better fight than I was expecting in this one with your third-string quarterback, Josh Johnson, in there, the whole 9 yards. I was expecting a blowout. I picked a 38-10 victory for the Cowboys, and, say what you will about the Commanders, and we will go into the negatives in this game. There's certainly a lot of positives to come out of this game as well. So let's unwrap my takeaways here in just a second. But first, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We only have one more post-game reaction show this season. Next week when we play the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly to close up the regular season. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for all of our Commanders coverage that you can get for free right here on YouTube. So the story of the game today, man, Cowboys get off to a very fast start. They score touchdowns on all 3 of their first 3 drives, and then they don't score a touchdown for the rest of the game. They do get 3 field goals from Brandon Aubrey, but the Commanders, I thought, did a really good job fighting in this ball game. All right, you were down by 3 scores at one point in this football game, 21-3, and you fight all the way back to getting the football in the fourth quarter with a chance to tie the game down 7. Now, unfortunately, the Commanders were not able to capitalize on that opportunity, and then the defense couldn't, give the offense another chance to tie this football game late. But I thought Josh Johnson played a pretty decent game today, only 8 incompletions. They didn't ask him to do a ton in this game, but I thought, he looked like a decent backup quarterback today after stinking it up last week. But then I thought Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, and Deebo Samuel played pretty well today. I thought Terry McLaurin had another decent day. I saw some fight specifically on the offensive side of the ball for Washington today, but plain simply, guys, the main story in this one is you couldn't get them off the field on 3rd and 4th downs. In terms of the weighty downs in this game, game-changing, drive-killing, type of plays. And in this game, the Cowboys converted on 14 of 20 of those opportunities. So that's just not a clip that you want to see your defense perform at. But just some injury updates here. Tyler Biadasz left the game with a knee injury. Also, Brandon Coleman was banged up during the game. We'll get you guys updates on those guys. Hopefully, Biadasz's injury is not like a torn ACL or MCL here, because if that's the case, he might have to miss the start of next season because it's so late into the year at this point. Obviously, we saw Sam Cosmi, who got injured around this time of the year last year, go down with an ACL tear. He was not able to return this season until like midway through the year almost. So that might make the center position a position of need here for Washington if Biadasz does have a torn ACL of some sort. Obviously, we're wishing the best for him, but we'll keep you guys updated on his status this week here on the Commanders Report. But now let's unwrap some of these takeaways here, starting with couldn't get off the field. That was the story of the game today. All right, you look at the 3rd down conversion rate for the Dallas Cowboys, it wasn't that good, 8 for 20. But when you include 6 for 6 conversion rate, they're 100% conversion rate on 4th downs, it doesn't look nearly as good because, 6 of those non-converted 3rd downs turned into converted 4th downs. You only got 4 stops on a weighty down in this game, and the Cowboys converted on more than double of that, 14 in this game. That is just an unacceptable number from the Commanders' defense. You give up almost 500 yards of total offense in this game. Now, I guess some kudos and some congratulations can be put in the Commanders' defense's direction for not giving up a touchdown after giving up 3 straight to start the ball game. But obviously, it wasn't enough to win this football game, and that's certainly disappointing. But especially because there was an opportunity late in this game, man. There was a 3rd and 16 on the second to last drive for the Cowboys, where you get a sack. I believe it was I can't remember who got. I think it was Barber that got the sack. It's 3rd and 16. They check it down to Lupke, their fullback. Frankie Luvu misses a tackle. He gets down to 4th and 2, giving them a 4th and short situation. They convert instead of making that tackle or getting a stop and then having to punt, and then the Commanders would have the ball just down 7 points with 4 minutes left to go in the game, and they would have had plenty of time to go tie this game. But you can't get that situation. That was looking back on this game, that's going to be really the play for me. The two plays, 3rd and 16 and then 4th and 2, not being able to get off the field in that situation just speaks volumes in terms of what happened in this football game today. But moving on to some positives here, I thought Johnny Newton had the best game of his career. 2 TFLs, 3 sacks. 9 tackles, and 5 QB hits, man. That is one hell of a stat line for somebody that has been pretty quiet throughout his second season in the National Football League. And he took the opportunities today that came with Jer'zhan Payne being out of the lineup, and he ran with them, like literally ran with them, man. And I think, especially with the production that he was getting as a pass rusher, I think that he's certainly somebody that's going to be a contributor for this defense moving forward, even if it's just like a interior pass rusher only type of role, because he is still kind of light and he's not the best run defender in the world. It certainly seems like he's earned himself another chance next year to prove that he can be a full-time rotation piece in this Commanders defensive line. Phenomenal performance today from jer'zhan Newton. But then also I just thought in general the pass rush was nice. It wasn't just Johnny Newton. He did get 3 of the team's 6 sacks, but Preston Smith was getting after the quarterback. Bobby Wagner was doing a great job as a blitzer today. I thought that as a whole this pass rush was pretty darn nice today, and of course Barber got himself a pretty decent sack as well. So, I think that this was probably the best part about the defensive performance today of the Washington Commanders, is that some of these players definitely got after it today. And, that was probably the best aspect of this defensive performance for me. And the worst aspect of it not only was the, weighty downs type of situation on 3rd and 4th downs, but it was also the run defense. They end up giving up over 100 yards rushing in this game, officially 211 yards. Total on the day, over 100 yards to Malik Davis of the Dallas Cowboys. The run defense, you could tell it was missing, Eddie Goldman and Jer'zhan Payne. Those 2 big bodies in the middle of their defense. They did play Shy Tuttle a little bit in this game, but, there's a reason why he was available at this point in the season, right? So, the Cowboys kind of knew going into this game that the Commanders' defensive front was going to be a bit soft in the middle. They took advantage of that for sure, getting over 200 yards rushing in this game, and that was certainly the main engine of the Cowboys' offense in this football game. So you be the judge for me down there in the comments section. Grade today's performance from the Washington Commanders, A, B, C, D, or F. For me, I'll give them a C. I guess, it was a good fight for, not having your first or second string quarterbacks in there. Keeping this thing close at the end of the game, I guess, is somewhat of an accomplishment. But once again, we're reminded this Commanders defense is not very good. So make sure you guys go down there. Give me your grade for today's performance for today's pin question. In just a second here, I'm going to let you guys know how you can get a great deal on a Jayden Daniels jersey. Today only. But while I'm talking about that opportunity, give me a grade for today's performance down there in the comments section. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today, where you guys can go chatsports.com/Daniels to pick up a officially licensed Commanders Jayden Daniels jersey for 25% off today when you use code CHEERS, again, by using our link, chatsports.com/Daniels. And it's not just the regular burgundy home and the regular white away jersey, guys. You can get a Super Bowl era jersey, 25% off with code CHEERS. Same thing goes with the alternate blacks. We've got a bunch of different selections here of jerseys, so whatever your style is, if you believe in Jayden Daniels and you believe he is the next great franchise quarterback of this franchise, like I do, go chatsports.com/Daniels. Use code CHEERS today only for 25% off a Jayden Daniels jersey today. Moving over to the offensive side of the ball, I thought Josh Johnson was okay. I expected a dumpster fire of a game like it was last week for Johnson, but today he protected the football. He converted on some 3rd and longs. He had some, pretty impressive throws down the field in this game. And, there were certainly some moments in this game where you're looking at it and he misses Terry McLaurin wide open on a slant in the end zone on his first read, etc. There's some other plays too, but, there's some plays where you were left saying, yeah, that's a 3rd-string quarterback, but there's also some plays in there where it's like, all right, this third-string quarterback's kind of playing pretty well right now. So, I thought it was a fine performance from Johnson, nothing special, but getting a passer rating over 90 is a pretty decent accomplishment for somebody that played as poorly as he did in the preseason and last week. So tip my cap to Josh Johnson for holding down the fort this week. But then Deebo Samuel, I think, he had a really good performance today. He had 25 yards on the ground today as a rusher, and then you pair that with the 68 yards he had as a receiver today, and, he was pretty decent, all right, on nearly 100 yards of offense today, and I think he's fighting to stay here in Washington. Now, I know a lot of people are like, we can't bring back Deebo Samuel, we got to get younger, all that stuff, but, I'm just telling you, he's got a good connection with Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, obviously connecting with Peters back in his San Francisco days, and it sounds like Deebo's best friend, one of his best friends, Brandon Ayuk might be coming here to Washington, so that's even more incentive for Deebo to take a team-friendly deal to come back to Washington next year and quote-unquote finish what he started. I feel like the Commanders could maybe even get Deebo for like a 5 to 10, somewhere in that range, $1 million contract next year on a one-year deal. And frankly, this team could do a lot worse. If they're going to go and try and make a run at a Super Bowl next year, you could do a lot worse than Deebo Samuel as your number 3 receiver as a gadget piece. Today, he hit 19 miles per hour on one of his big runs, which was just 1 mile per hour less than Kevontae Turpin, by the way, on his big touchdown post that he had in the first half of this game. So I think Deebo is trying to make his case to stay. We'll see if he ends up making enough of a case by the end of the season. Then also, what a day from Bill Croskey-Merritt, man. Carried the team and the run game today with 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. He averaged, again, nearly a first down per rush. And, this isn't the first time he's put up a stat line like that this year on just 11 carries. And, what's crazy is if Chris Rodriguez Jr. didn't get sick today, we probably don't see Jacory Croskey-Merritt put up that stat line because they've been playing Chris as the number 1 running back when he's been healthy. So I don't understand that. I understand that Croskey is not the best pass protector or the best, receiving threat in the world at the running back position, but he's certainly showing his value as an early down rusher in this league, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he continues to do. He's definitely got to be a part of the solution at this position moving forward. Then also, I think we have our guy at kicker, guys, as Jake Moody continues to make kicks. Doesn't miss a whole lot, and I know that's kind of what he was known for in San Francisco, but he's been pretty nails here in Washington, and playing outside and in the wind and all that stuff. He had a 51-yard field goal today. Nearly missed a 23-yard field goal, but we won't mention that. I think Moody's done a pretty decent job here in Washington, and I think there's a pretty decent chance that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn decide to bring him back next year. But honestly, guys, this was my kind of loss. All right, if you're going to lose, I'd like to lose close and not in an embarrassing fashion. I'd like for some players to individually have some excellent performances, like Johnny Newton, Deebo Samuel, and Bill Croskey-Merritt. I would like to see losses come in that form because the loss is fine because frankly it improves your draft positioning, and you would have liked to win, but at this point in the year, you can't win if you win. You can't win whether you win or lose, as we like to say here on the Commanders Report. But, hey, there's a positive to losing as well when you're a bad football team, which is, hey, we're improving our draft stock. We're getting one step closer to securing our draft positioning and being able to trade down in round 1 of the NFL draft and getting a draft haul for maybe a team trying to come up for a quarterback. So I think today was my kind of loss. It was an entertaining game to watch, yet you still maintained your draft positioning, all that stuff. So, we'll see what happens next week in Philly. My guess is it's probably going to be another loss, which is okay, though, because one more loss and you might be securing yourself a top 5 draft pick in Pittsburgh next spring. So point the finger for me down there in the comment section. Who's the most to blame for the loss today? I'm going to give the loss to the defense as a whole because you can't really identify one player that was consistently giving up these third downs. It was everybody today. It was Frankie Louvu missing tackles. It was, Noah Igbenogany, not being in position. Mike Samerstill losing in coverage. Jonathan Jones losing in coverage at times. It was a group effort and a group failure on that side of the ball. For me, that's the reason why the Commanders lost here in Week 17. Just some final thoughts here, guys. I think there's some positives to take away from this game, which is more than I thought coming into this one. I thought it was just going to be a complete shellacking with Josh Johnson getting the start at quarterback, and, we'd be talking about a complete embarrassment here. The fact that we're not talking about an embarrassing performance and you are still improving your draft stock, you can spin this game into a very positive outing for the Washington Commanders today. So I hate the fact that the Cowgirls and their fans get to hold a season sweep over us in the offseason, but hopefully that short-term pain can turn into a long-term game, with the way that the Commanders handle this offseason. So that'll be it for tonight, for today's post-game show here on Christmas. I appreciate each and every one of your guys' support. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas with all of your families back home. Until next time, guys, go raise some hell.